Okay, for today's lesson, you will need section 5 and section 6. So in your text, you just need to scroll down to find section 5, which is called Attacks by Neighboring Communities. Same thing as you did last week. You will be looking for the problem and how the Sumerians solved that problem. Attacks by neighboring communities. As Sumerian cities grew, they fought over the right to use more water. Sometimes people in cities located upriver, closer to where the river begins, built new canals or blocked other cities' canals in this way. They kept water from reaching the cities that were downriver, farther from where the river begins. Disputes over water became so intense that they often led to bloodshed. The Sumerians looked for ways to protect their cities from neighboring communities. The plains provided no natural barriers. There were no mountain ranges or rushing rivers to keep out enemies. Around the cities, the Sumerians began constructing strong walls out of mud bricks that were baked in the sun until hard. The Sumerians also dug moats around city walls to prevent enemies from entering their cities. Most people lived in houses within the walled cities, but the farms lay outside. In case of attack, farmers fled the fields for safety within the city walls. The walled cities of Sumer were like independent countries. Historians call them city-states. By about 3000 BCE, most Sumerians lived in city-states, enjoying the benefits of a protected and governed independent area. So a city-state would have had somebody who was ruling them, and they began to have laws that they would be following. We'll talk more about that too. So for section 6, if you want to follow along, it's called From Small Farming Villages to Large City-States. As you've seen, beginning around 3500 BCE, the Sumerians progressed from living in small farming villages to building large walled city-states. How and why did this happen? The answer lies not only in the problems the Sumerians faced, but also in their solutions. A basic challenge for any group of people is how to provide food for itself. Food shortages had forced settlers in Mesopotamia to move from the foothills down to the river valley. There, farmers faced the problem of having either too much water or too little. To control the water supply, Sumerians built a complex irrigation system, or like a water system or sprinkling system. The system crossed village boundaries, so the Sumerians had to cooperate with one another. This led them to live in larger communities, which became the first city-states. These independent city-states often fought with one another. To defend themselves, the Sumerians built walls and dug moats around their cities. By 3000 BCE, the solutions to the challenges faced by the Sumerians had transformed Sumerian farming villages into walled city-states. So for section 6, I'll also give you an example, another video, where you're going to be looking at typing things in a document where I will give you the problem, and then you're going to have to find the solution. And all of the answers will be in this text. The last thing, this is, so from caves to city-states, this is just a timeline of telling you what we have read about so far. So starting with Paleolithic Age, right now we are reading about the Sumerian city-states. And here's an example of what their city maybe have looked like. This would be the moat, and this obviously is a city. Over here would be the farmland. And it looks like they only had a couple entrances to get in, and this would be where the farmers would come in if they were out in the fields. Lesson summary. In this lesson, you have learned how geographic challenges led to the rise of city-states in Mesopotamia. Food shortages in the hills. The shortage of food forced people to move from the foothills of the Zagros Mountains and the plains between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This plains area became Sumer. Controlling the water supply in the plains, farmers in Sumer faced times of flooding and drought. They built irrigation systems to create a steady water supply. Maintaining these complex systems required cooperation among villages, from farming villages to city-states. As villages grew into towns and cities, some became large city-states with protective walls around them. So for that section on your document, I just want you to type in what you see here, the bold title. You will type that into your document. And again, here's an example of, or not an example, this is actually one of the city-states that they found in Sumer. If you would like to read further, this is optional. You may read The Rise of the Sumerian, Detecting the Past, Clues from Archaeology. I will leave that there. That is an optional assignment for you.